In this help video, I'd like to give you an overview of how to use MTPredictor when you first subscribe to the software and come in as a new customer. But this video is just like a quick few step outline of how to go from nothing to basically the first level of using MTPredictor. Right, when you first open MTPredictor, this is our add-ons for NinjaTrader 8, but exactly the same principles apply for our standalone version as well as our scripts for TradingView. So when you first open the software, you'll see we have automatic setups, but MTPredictor is not a black box system. These are not to be traded like a 100% system, perhaps in the direction of our MTP trend color. The reason for this is because markets are random. They're random about half the time. So in other words, about 50% of the time, there's no clear, discernible, large degree trend. Therefore, you shouldn't be doing any trading at all on that particular chart in that particular time frame. So the question arises then, how do you decide when the picture's clear? So this is step one with MTPredictor. So step one is where we go to the higher time frame chart. The higher time frame chart is a chart between 3 and 5 time frames higher. So this is an example on a daily chart of the US dollar Japanese yen. So a higher time frame from the daily would be the weekly. So if we go out to the weekly, here we have the higher time frame chart. I'm just going to add a bit more data on that. So we normally suggest using bars, and we suggest having 800 to 1000 bars. So normally bars here, then bars to load 800. And if you do that, then our MTPredictor MTP trend indicator there will normally calculate correct. So if you saw it before, it was just lines. Now that is now got it calculating correctly. That's just a little tip on the way through. So first we use our higher time frame DPs. So I'm just going to put a bit of white space on the right here just so I can scroll the chart off like this as if we're gone back in time. Now the exact pivots to choose, we go through in detail on that in a particular training webinar that's in the recorded section of or it's recorded in the member section of the MTPredictor website. So that shows you which pivots to choose. So we don't choose any pivot, we choose specific ones, and that's covered in that particular video. But here, as the market is starting to move up, we'd use the last pivot high here. So you'd right mouse click over this pivot high. Do you notice how I hover the mouse over it? I right mouse click, I then click on decision point. Now can you see how that's on the chart in advance? This is the important thing. With MTPredictor we're looking to go out in advance. We're not, for example, having our market analyzer, which does have our setups in. We don't look at this first. The first thing we do is we project in advance. We're seeing whether the market is going to do what we anticipate. So this level is on the chart in advance. Then what we're looking for is the market to do what we anticipate. And as you can see here, the Japanese yen went up to this projected level and then reversed off this level. When this happens, we deem that the picture's clear. So at that time, we come down to the time frame we're trading off. In this case, it would be the daily. Now, can you see here how the market reversed at our anticipated level? Notice in NinjaTrader, when you change time frames, the DP from the higher time frame stays on the chart. This is only if you change time frame on the same chart. It doesn't show on other charts of the same symbol, which is, I know, a feature that you can do in NinjaTrader. So we don't do that. It only stays on the same chart when you change the time frame. So there you can see the weekly DP. Notice how it reversed right at that level. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for the market to do what we anticipate. In other words, the picture becomes clear. If there was a VS or a DP, i.e. one of our trend termination setups at that level, you could consider that because the market is making a shorter term trade setup at a higher time frame support and resistance. If the market reverses that level like it did here, we then look for confirmation on our MTP trend color. Notice how we've gone to this second, not first. We've gone to this second to show that the market's gone from blue to being an uptrend, to black to being in the process of making a reversal, to being red to show that the trend is now down. So after this high, the market trend is then deemed to be down because the market is reversing off the resistance. Our MTP trend is red. We're therefore looking for sell setups. As you can see, this is what unfolded a bit later. We had a TS3 W3 trade setup. So you right mouse click over the red cell bar, do analyze trade setup. This then gives you the position sizing. You can set up different size accounts to give you different position sizing. That's a subject of a different video, but our default account is 2% on a $20,000 account. So this tells you the number of lots or contracts or shares to trade at that level. If the market is stopped out, that would be a -1 hour loss. We'll show that in another example in a couple of minutes time. But if the market goes down to the projected level, you can see this is our projected target, then the profit would be 12 times the initial risk. But this is what we're looking to do. We're looking to see whether the market reverses at our higher time frame support or resistance levels that we project in advance. If it does, we then deem that the market is clear. That's step 1. Step 2 is then we come down to then look for trade setups that are in this new trend direction. Let's have a look at another setup. In this example, this is now on a, just pull this chart into the video. Sorry about that. There we go. Just get it sized into the video. That's a bit better. So this is a regular trading hours chart of the YM on a 3-minute chart from yesterday. So again, we go to the higher time frame chart as step 1. That's the first thing you do. Step 1 is the higher time frame. So 3 to 5 time frames higher on a 3-minute chart would be the 15-minute chart. Let's take it off to the right there a bit. You can see here was the last swing into the low. Again, we refer you to a separate video that's one of the recorded webinars in the MTPredictor member section of the website that shows you which pivot to choose. But when the market is making a move off an extreme high or low, we take the last swing into that high or low. So it'll be off this pivot here. We right mouse click, we do decision point. Again, can you see how that's on the chart in advance? We're not looking at the market analyzer, we're not looking at the MTP trend. On this time frame, we're just projecting the DP out there in advance. That's step 1. Let's see what the market did. By the way, you can grab and drag these to move them about as well. Of course, they move horizontally because you don't want the price range changing. You can see the market went up and made a reversal at that level. So when we come down to the time frame we're trading off, in this case the 3-minute, can you see here how the market indeed made a reversal at that level? So that's when we deem that the picture is clear. When the market is making a reversal off our projected level. Again, that only happens about 50% of the time. The rest of the time, you must understand that markets are random, and that's why they should not be traded until the picture becomes clear. So after this reversal, we then check the MTP trend. It went from blue to black to being in the process of reversal. So at this point, you could consider our MTP trend termination setups, which would be the VS or the DP setup. The market trend turned as it went down. The MTP trend color then turned red. That defined the large degree trend is down. Therefore, you'd be looking for sell setups. You'd be ignoring this buy setup here. Here's the first sell setup. So right mouse click over the red sell bar. You have to be directly over the correctly colored bar. Red for a sell, blue for a buy. Black is neutral, therefore there'll be no potential setup on a black bar. We do analyze trade setup. This then gave you the position sizing as we saw in the previous video. I'll take it back to our default size account, 2% of a sample $20,000 account. That allowed you to go short 2 contracts. The market then took you in for a short trade, came down to the first projected or the projected profit target here, where a profit of approximately 5 times the initial risk was available. A bit later in the day, the market then started to retrace back up again. Our MTP was still red. And if we went to our 15-minute chart, where was our next support level? Here's the last swing into the high. Off this pivot, we right mouse click and do decision point. This would be our anticipated support zone. We're not looking at the maximum DPs, we're looking at just the typical DPs, the ones in blue here. So as you can see, the market hasn't reached this support level. So if we go back to the 3-minute chart, you can see there it is down there. So even at this point, the large degree trend will still be deemed to be down. So if we right mouse click over the red sell bar to analyze trade setup, this would take you into a short trade, but as you can see, the market reversed and then would have taken you out. it would have stopped you out. Position sizing kept this risk small, less than our 2% of a sample $20,000 account, so this would have been a losing trade. It's important to understand and more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. No matter what trading approach you take, there always will be losing trades. But what we're looking to do with MTPredictor is when the inevitable losses come through, we're looking to keep them small. In this case it would have been a -1R loss. See how that was small when compared to our previous setup here at +5R. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at profits here that should be large, not just in dollars, but in risk-reward units. So when the losses come through, the losses are kept small at -1R. When the profits come through, the profits are kept large, greater than that, so you have large profits and small losses. So this is what we're basically trying to do with MTPredictor. And first and foremost, we are understanding that markets are random 50% of the time. So 50% of the time, you should not be doing any trading or any analysis on the chart because the markets are random. To then deem when the market pattern is not random, we go to the higher time frame chart. We then place our DPs on from previous pivots. Again, which pivot to choose is shown in detail in a recorded webinar in the members section of the website. That is out there in advance. Remember, that's on the chart before the market gets there. Once the market reaches that level, and we don't know whether it will because markets can be random in between, but if it reaches that level, we deem that the market pattern is then clear. Once the market pattern is clear, that's step one. We then go down to the shorter time frame chart, double check with our MTP trend to check it's in the correct color. So as you can see here, the market made the reversal at the DP level really clearly. This is what we're looking at. Once you become a bit more experienced with MTPredictor, and in our training webinars, we take you to higher levels and show you how to use edge cases and then look at setups that are not quite so ideal. But that comes with experience, and we show you how to do that in our training webinars and take you to higher levels. But this initial step, when you first use MTPredictor, this is what we're looking at or looking for: a clear reversal at your projected level. That then deems the large true trend to be in the direction you're looking for. In this case, that would be down off a DP resistance area. We then deem the large true trend is down. We're then looking for, in this case, sell setups to be in the new downtrend direction. Over time, you're looking for setups that have profits that are large, not just in dollars, but in relation to the inevitable losses as we've seen in the video so far. So hopefully this has been a good introduction just to show you how to get up to speed with MTPredictor when you're a new customer. Again, the training webinars will take you to much higher levels as you become more experienced. But the basic levels when you first start with MTPredictor are: go to the higher time frame chart, use your DPs on the higher time frame chart to then see whether the market is reversing at those. That then deems whether the picture is clear. Once the picture is clear, you then look for trade setups that are in the new trend direction.